Howdy, 8th grade. Today we are going to be looking at how to do two-step equations. We've done one-step equations twice now, which is when x is either added to, subtracted from, multiplied, divided, but only one thing has happened to x. A two-step equation, what that means is that we are going to have two things happening to x. So two things happened to our variable. I want to show you all what that looks like. I think this is actually something that comes kind of intuitively after you've done the one-step equations. So my example here is going to be, let me get a pretty color. There we go. My example is going to be 3x plus 5 equals 14. So we're going to do the same two steps. My step one is going to be to split equation in half. And my step two is going to be to do the same thing to both sides. And we're doing that with the goal of getting x alone. So we're doing that to get x alone. So I'm looking at this and I want to get x alone. So the question is, what's happening to x right now? I got 3x plus 5 equals 14. So I'm going to check that out. And I'm going to start off by splitting my equation. So I split my equation right down the equal sign. And I have to look and I have to ask, well, what's happening to x? The problem here is that two things are happening to x. So I want to show you all there's actually going to be two different ways to do this equation. The reason for that is I can either get rid of this 3 first that needs to go away, or the 5 first that needs to go away. And both of them will work. I'm going to start off by showing you the 5, and then I'll show you the 3, and then we can talk about which way was easier. So we're going to start off by getting rid of this 5 here. That's going to be easy enough. I'm going to subtract 5 from both sides. After I subtract 5 from both sides, 3x plus 5 minus 5 is going to be 3x. I have my equal sign, and 14 minus 5 is going to be 9. So now I just need to get x by itself. It's being multiplied, so I do the opposite, which is dividing by 3. 3 times x divided by 3 is just going to be x equals 9 divided by 3, which is 3. And that would be my answer, x equals 3. Like I said, there's another way of doing this. This is how it would look if we started off by doing the subtraction first. I want to show you all the other way. So we're going to do that in yellow here. I have 3x plus 5 equals 14. We're doing the exact same problem, but this time we are going to do the division first. So I'm going to divide this side by 3, and I'm going to divide this side by 3. The problem here is that if I divide the side by 3, I have to divide the whole side by 3. So this ends up being 3x plus 5 divided by 3 equals, and this side's going to be 14 thirds. Division actually distributes just like multiplication. So when I do this, I'll have 3x divided by 3, which is x plus 5 thirds equals 14 thirds. So now all I have to do is the subtraction. I'm going to subtract 5 thirds to get x by itself. Keep this going down a little ways. And so x plus 5 thirds minus 5 thirds is going to be x equals, and 14 thirds minus 5 thirds is going to be 9 thirds. And I really hope that 9 thirds is 3, so I end up with x equals 3. Which, if we look, is exactly the same as what I got doing it the other way. So my question now is, which way was easier to do? I really hope that we like this way better. I like this way better. I think it is a much nicer way to get to the answer. You don't have to draw the heart on your homework, but I love that way of doing things much more than I love the way that involves the really complex improper fractions. So how can we avoid doing fractions? What did I do to avoid the fractions? Because if we avoid fractions, we'll make less mistakes. I know you guys, I know it's true. So to avoid fractions, what I'm going to want to do is I'm going to want to make sure that I always start with my adding and subtracting. And then I'm going to multiply and divide. Basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to do it these multi-step equations in reverse PEMDAS order. So I'm going to want to start off with addition and subtraction, then multiplication and division, then take care of exponents, and then worry about parentheses. And that's just going to be the easiest way of dealing with these equations if I'm trying to unravel them. So looking at this, we had to make a couple notes. Just a quick last note. The reason it was so hard is that when we do something to a side, we have to do it to the whole side. So I'm going to get rid of that. Dividing by 3 there, I had to do it to a whole side. So my note is that operations, if you don't know what operations are, those are adding, subtracting, multiplying, dividing, have to be done to a whole side. To full sides of the equation. And if we do that, then we will never ever fail. Sometimes it might take us longer because we now have to do fractions if we do it in the wrong order. But so long as we do operations to the full side of the equation, we can do whatever we want as long as we know the goal is to get the variable by itself. If y'all can make sure you do the lesson practice, that would be great. And I will see y'all in class tomorrow. Toodaloo.